this segment, let's talk about it. The basics with Evie and Pete. So basically, the good and the bad about it. What do we think?
Yeah, so the question's always posed. I say, what's wrong with the basics?
Nothing.
In a twofold sense. Yes, nothing in terms of what's actually wrong with them versus like, can we, coaches that are spurred on to do more. So, probably more recently, I'm working on this certification where they're, the organization's about long-term athletic development. I think that's great. And meanwhile, I see some coaches that have this certification that are doing some advanced high-level methods with some of their kids. Now, the question is, and I'll borrow this term from Derek Eagley, when is it time to kind of break the rules?
Mm-hmm.
And the way Derek put it, if there's a scholarship on the line, there's money on the line, whatever. For most high school athletes, and I'm going to use that as contextual part of the argument here, there really is no argument. It's more like of what are we thinking about is, how much time do we have with them? So most high school kids, how many move on to collegiate sports?
Yeah.
In
1%,
your program,
right? 1%.
something like that. Not a whole lot. It may be a couple guys on the roster, and you don't know. It'll vary between Division 1, 2, 3, junior college, NAIA, whatever it may be, which is super cool. I think ultimately it should be the goal of every high school coach to leave your athletes wanting more, and
definitely,
in all facets. In the strength and conditioning game, for myself, it's always been like give them a leg up in their strength and conditioning room when they move on, or they get into the strength sports, or they get involved with like, hey, I know my way around a weight room, so that's my way to
at
have
least
them continue.
at the very least get them educated on the weight room.
Yep.
But yeah, the basics. Zach Avanesh loves the basics.
Yep.
Strength is king. I agree. Like we need to build up a lot more athletes in that way, because I feel like a lot of coaches with the gimmicks and stuff try and get them. Oh, look at all this cool stuff. Look at the speed work we're doing.
Or we're doing something like, and nothing wrong with like the the French contrast or these specialized these very upper
training
end sort
methods.
Of things. Right, which is fine because I think everybody's trying to get some sort of transference,
adaptation
right?
To sport.
Yeah,
but the thing about those is you need to have that good foundation to get more out of it. Like if you throw a beginner into the French contrast training, they'll get can jump higher and stuff probably. But if they're really truly a beginner, they could have had more if you got that strength phase or whatever before,
right?
And then build up to it.
So I think Kier had put this on Twitter about if you do that advanced level method too early, you kind of cheat them twice. One is they don't get that. Basically, you would get the same adaptation if you did the basic stuff first.
Right.
Okay, and then use the advanced stuff as a cherry on top. So
get
essentially they would use that advanced level, go up a little bit, fine, but then now where do you go? Right.
Go back to basic.
Right. So it's like
you could squeeze more out of the lemon. Squeeze more out of that lemon.
Right. Exactly. You can squeeze more juice later, or like the analogy to the toothpaste. You squeeze it at the top of the toothpaste bottle versus the back of it. So Joseph Johnson, you can't go back to the advanced method and expect to get more out of it because you already did it.
Right. Adaptations are there.
Yeah, you already squeezed it out. Where and I can kind of see it. If you only have a set of guys for 4 years and you're trying to win in high school, okay, I can see where a coach would be like, okay, we're going to try and do this stuff to get the most out of them now. If you're in a situation where you got to rein a guy back because he's going to, you want to leave him with some growth there for his college team, then doing that advanced method, you might be putting a damper on his development further on.
Definitely, yeah. And that's what are you trying to choose?
Yes.
Trying to get them better, or their development better?
Yeah, that's always the conundrum there with some coaches. So if you're about long-term athletic development, it might be a case-by-case basis. It's hard to put a general answer on that. So it's something I've battled with too, but at the same time, for me, it's always, I guess it's
long-term development. That's what I think. I think everybody needs a lot more strength training, especially the athletes we're seeing today in the high schools, even the kids we've been working with, soccer.
And that's the whole thing. We can contextualize strength too. For me, early on, it's always going to be relative strength. How strong are they relative to their body weight? That's why all the loading programs I have are based off their body weight. And if they can push that up, to a certain extent, and they're getting 100% of their body weight for a certain. Okay, we're getting there now. Now we're in
Yeah,
the spot where
exactly.
we can kind of use those
Use different methods.
percentages
Yeah.
off of 1 rep max or whatever the heck else. But until that time, I like
I love
using
the
the
basics.
basic
Yeah,
stuff.
build up the body. Build up the
Complexes,
athlete.
just learning how to move correctly in different planes.
Different movement patterns.
Right, and
Yeah.
you're not doing all of
The tissues and stuff. building
yeah,
up
you're not
tissues,
doing all
muscles.
of the crazy. I don't want to say it's crazy, but you're not
Because
doing
it's
the
beneficial, but not at that time.
yeah.
At that
You're only
time,
going to
you
get
don't
so
need
much
that,
out of it
yeah.
before it runs its course, and then once it runs
Or
its course,
injury
it runs
can
its
occur.
course.
Like imagine if you're throwing like a intermediate beginner into the French contrast training, all that jumping and
You're
stuff.
throwing a lot of intent. Yeah, if you're doing it in a true sense, right?
True,
the
yeah,
true
yeah.
eccentric overload and a true isometric overload, and you got those 120+% whatever on a body that's not ready to do it.
Injury can occur, and then you're just not getting as much out of it.
Yeah, the recovery abilities just aren't there because the skill set's not there because
GPP, work capacity.
they're
we
not
need
efficient with the
those.
movements in the first place to to garner that type of floating.
You can never go wrong with starting with the basics with a new client or athlete,
Not
unless
at
they
all.
come to you with 3-4 years of experience from another coach like Pete or I that actually know what's going on, in a sense, right?
Yep, brilliance with the basics, folks.
Do the basics. Work hard always.